Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode. This is the SoapyRao show, and today I'm joined by a friend, a fellow comedian. I would like to say fellow comedian because I want to put myself in the same league, and a guy I met many years now. It's been since we performed together in Singapore, and did some other stuff. But anyway, let's talk about that at another show. But all the way from Las Vegas, Nevada. Is that Nevada? I don't know. Is Mr. Butch Bradley? Butch, how are you?
Great to be here, and we're brothers. That's the part you forgot. You're one of
That's
those
true.
humans people meet and they're like, "Oh my God, I wish my relatives were like him." Yeah, man.
That's true.
Like
Yeah, I wish
I'll
my
trade
relatives
in
were
half
like
my
you.
family for you. I'll trade in half my family for you. I hope they're
But
watching.
man, I wish my relatives were like you, a white man in Nevada who I can hang out with.
Dude, seriously, let's trade. Let's trade. You find some cousins you're done with. So I'm at the Strat Hotel and Casino in Vegas,
How
and I'm
cool is
so
that?
Americaned up because I got the Marilyn Monroe shirt, and she's holding two guns, and I got my Monster Red Bull beverage drink, and I'm under the Strat Casino. And I'm like 3 blocks from a place where you can buy guns and marijuana. So yeah,
Hey,
it's an American moment.
it's American dream, man. I wish.
Oh, oh my God! You know what's funny? We're in the middle of thinking it's a dream, and then we're like, oh, what have we done?
It's very strange,
Yeah,
man. The whole thing. I want to talk about that in a bit, but yeah, it's so cool because I'm sitting here, and the entire concept before the lockdown was this hustle for open mics and live gigs, etc., etc. But the entire conversation was how many people are coming, the turnout, how do you get people? It's about the marketing versus the actual comedy, and I suppose the marketing is important. And just to get this perspective from you, where yeah, I mean, also for people who don't know, you are a resident comedian at the club, the LA. What it's called? Sorry, is it called LA Comedy Club?
yeah. I am the only non-celeb resident in Las Vegas. I'm at
Oh,
the
come
LA
on.
Comedy Club 5 nights a week. No, and dude, Lady Gaga is up the street right now, and I wish I knew someone so I could sneak in. We've got Rod Stewart. The
Mm.
Stones, the Rolling Stones are here in November. Like and the caliber of the comics, just so people know, like, Bill Burr, Chappelle rolls in, and then, the guys in our tier and then the guys at the other tier. It's like a really interesting time because
Mm.
here in the States, Vegas, I've been working since last October, very blessed, the most of the country's down. But
Right. So you've been doing
the
live gigs since
combination
last October?
yeah. So
That's
somehow the
awesome.
combination of alcohol, drugs, and 24 hours is a cure for COVID. Did you know
And guns.
that? And guns, right?
I heard,
Right.
correct me if I'm
So
wrong, but I've heard that the strip clubs now in Vegas, you actually have to put the dollar bills in the mask.
you're probably right. And yeah, I can, yeah, that whole world. It's so funny because in the newspapers here it would say, dance clubs are now allowed, lap dances. Like it's so crazy to live in a place where lap dances is like an argument at the local government. You know what I mean?
clearly,
Like it's
clearly Vegas has its priorities right, or Nevada has its priorities
yeah.
right. There's some,
So I just wanted to tell you behind me there.
uh-huh.
If I don't know if your viewers can see, but there are actually people bungee jumping off of the stratosphere behind me. So just
What?
so when they're listening, maybe they can look over my shoulder, maybe catch someone. So you can
Are you sure
bungee
it's
jump
bungee
off of
jumping, right?
the. Yo, yeah, yeah. You know what? You don't know how right you are. Occasionally, it is not. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So you
So,
guys give me a heads up.
yeah, but you're performing at the Stratosphere, right?
Yes, I
So
am.
you,
I'm actually, yeah, I'm doing an 8 o'clock show tonight. I'm covering for a comedian, and then I do my 10. Brett Ernst is here Tuesday, Wednesday, 10. He's on, he's on the, oh God, Cobra Kai comedy, Cobra Kai. It's all about,
mm,
um, God, what was that movie? I'm such a jerk. But anyways,
I
on
can't get
Cobra
it
Kai,
either.
Brett Ernst, very funny guy. And
Okay.
yeah, there's a ton of stuff. The Laugh Factory's here, the Comedy Cellar's here, Jimmy Kimmel's is here, Brad Garrett's is here. Big American comedy clubs, huge. Like it's
So,
New York and LA have moved to Vegas, so there really is no LA or New York at this moment. New York is only the Comedy Cellar.
So when you mean these guys are there, like the Laugh Factory, the Comedy Cellar, so you're talking about like makeshift clubs, or have they taken like rooms in casinos, or what's the deal like? I mean, for people
These
who've.
are incredible AA rooms. They are gorgeous. They're 400 seat, 300 seat rooms that the
Hmm.
Laugh Factory is stunning, and they're
That's
A
recently
rooms.
they
It's
built
the
these
best
places?
comics in the world working there. Yeah.
Are these recent developments, like these guys moving after the lockdown because LA shut, whatever?
No, Vegas has always been like your tour. You would tour the country. You would, grow your open mic in like Boston, Chicago,
Mm.
Florida, San Francisco, or New York, and then you would move to New York or LA so that when you're up at the club, you
Uh-huh.
get a shot at NBC, ABC,
Yeah.
Disney, a movie, whatever. And then, Vegas is the place where the guys who have really seasoned their craft go,
Mm.
and you get a monster paying gig, a beautiful suite, and you knock out monster shows with some of the best in the world, really.
Wow.
So
So you're
yeah,
right now doing like you said you're doing a 10, which is your regular slot. That's an hour every night of the week, or what?
I'm 5 nights a week.
Mm.
It's really crazy, but I sort of like landed my 24/7 chasing the road by coming to Vegas because the residency gave me a chance to sort of, have a front door. I have two dogs, maintain a relationship, like
Yeah.
normalcy. In
Yeah.
Vegas, I'm like, I don't even drink anymore. Like I haven't drank in 2 years. So, which is crazy that Vegas, I'm like so
Mm.
straight laced because I'm not exhausted anymore.
When
Yeah.
I met you, you were actually a traveling comedian, right? Because you used to do,
Yeah.
I think one of the, I wouldn't say one of the few, but yeah, you were one of the few American comedians who would venture out of the American road comic sort of circuit. And then you would
Yeah.
hit
Out of
Southeast
into
Asia, especially.
Asia.
That's where you
Yeah.
met
Yeah.
through Jonathan. And I think Rizal, I think, got you down for the Comedy
Yep.
Club Asia. And I think I met
Yep.
you in your last show there, I think 2015 or 14 or 16. I think that's when we met,
Yeah.
and it's
Yeah.
what I found was amazing. Of course, you've been doing comedy for so many years, but you really got a way in which you made the Singaporeans, which is a tough group of people. I mean, I'm not talking about the expats. I'm talking about the Singaporean people who would come for your show, the Chinese Singaporean or the locals. And man, I remember at one gig, I think you did some crowd interactions with this guy who had a helmet on, and there was something which went completely escalated to a mental level of fun. And I was like, man, and because it's and not to sound like all Americans are ignorant of things, but the way you kind of got out of that American comedy mindset and you kind of just got these Asians, and I'm saying all kinds of Asians to laugh, was really really cool. So when you mentioned this fact, right, that you're now a resident and you have a home and you're with your dog, but how is the life as a road comic? Like, does it fuck with your head after a point?
Being on the road all those years, I was in LA, and when I was in
Mm.
Los Angeles, I would live there for about 12 years. And you would
Mm.
go up the street, you do the Laugh Factory, you audition for all of these clubs. You
Right,
audition the Laugh Factory, you audition for the Comedy Store, the Improv,
right.
Comedy Magic. And if you're blessed to even get in one, cool. Then you're working with all the murderers, and you're getting paid your like your basic like $50, and you're starving, and you don't get paid
Mm.
for every 2 weeks. Then you stack your cash, go on the road for maybe a gig, one
Mm.
gig that would carry you through a month in LA, and you would audition and hope someone saw you and something happened. And after about 12 years, I thought, I work all the clubs, all incredible, made me a better comedian. And Jamie Gong had pulled me out to Hong Kong, and Paula Gata put in a word for me. Tom
Yeah.
Cotter did, and then I linked up with Rizal, and
Mm.
those guys, and I met Harith and everybody, and
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Singapore, and just incredible humans. And Asia was just like amazing. But that road exhaustion, you don't even know it. You're having a couple glasses of wine. You're in bed
Couple.
at 3. Yeah, yeah. Well, a couple to me is like a bottle and a half. So,
Yeah.
well,
Now
look,
you're
what am
talking.
I, the only honest drinker in the world? Like, I mean, look, that's my measurements with my Irish background is a couple of drinks.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
you would have them, and I would get to talk to guys like you for hours, and then you're just meeting dudes from Australia and all over the world, and it was
Yeah,
all
remember we
fun. But
just
then,
sat in that food court or the hawker market after
yeah,
our show, and we just had drank lots of
yeah,
draft,
dude,
I think beer off tap, and I think just
incredible.
yeah, I think the show was just it so happened to be that we were on a show together, but everything around it was so much fun. And I think um, you know what I
Heesery, I think, booked us on that.
yes, Heesry. That was the shows we
Jonathan,
did.
Jonathan and Heesery, yeah,
Yeah, we did. I think the three gigs together. I think we did the Blue
yeah,
Jazz, the Dutch Club, and then we did the other one, which
yep,
was the smaller room. You know, where they had a club attached to it. Really, really fun.
yeah,
And by the way,
yeah.
thank you. I think I didn't thank you in person for that spot you got me at the Comedy Magic Room in 2016 in LA. Man, that was
Oh,
so cool. I was there for the festival in San Francisco, and you said I'm going to try getting you a gig at this really really big room, and really really big comedians
toughest
walk
room
through
in
it.
LA. Toughest room in LA. Yeah, it's like a
The Comedy
major
Magic
celebrity
Room.
spot.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
there was a guy who, man, I can't believe I forget his name, but he was sort of like looked like a Leno kind of contemporary. That was his age. His name,
Yeah.
shit, was his name Paul? Paul, is there a famous comedian called Paul who's from a TV show?
There's, at that club, any given night, you're with
Yeah,
in Hollywood, the beautiful part, and not now, but
not now.
Hollywood
Yeah,
in that time. Yeah, it's quiet now, but you're with everybody, man. You're with Jay Leno. You're with Russell Peters. You're
yeah,
with anybody you could think of. Chris Rock, Chappelle. Like,
yeah.
who knows who you were with, which is really
No,
fun.
this guy's name is Paul Ryan. Is that a Paul Ryan?
Um,
I'm saying
I
it
don't
like
know. Doesn't yeah.
I'm saying it like a
Yeah, I
Valley guy.
don't
Is there a Paul
know.
Ryan in the house? I don't know.
I'm over here. No, it could have been anyone.
Yeah,
Uh,
no, but it's
yeah, just
fantastic
taking an
that
Asian. Yeah,
no, but
you're talking
it's
about the exhaustion, right? The
yeah,
exhaustion. You don't even know you're exhausted. I didn't even know that I was exhausted and looked exhausted till I was in Vegas working full time with not like coming to and from work to my home and running my dogs. Like I
yeah,
got dogs to be normal, to get up early, to go to the gym, to drink water,
yeah,
to have food. I didn't even know you were supposed to consume food on a regular basis. I was
yeah,
having my couple of glasses, but
yeah.
then I realized I was exhausted, and but
Did it
China
mess with
did
your
so
mind
great
besides
for
just your
me.
body as well? Did like were you mentally in a good like in a space where it was this loop? Because I mean I was there and I mean doing comedy for much less.
Anxiety, definitely
Yeah.
anxiety. Because I for me personally, and I think for real comedians like yourself, the real comedian does
Hey,
not have a
thank you.
choice. We're going to stage because we don't care about how tired we are. We don't care what it costs. We're going to
Mm,
stage. We're meant to go there. It's a God gift. It's inside you. It's why a little kid climbs a tree and he's not afraid to fall. I
yeah.
go to stage because that's what I was designed to do. Real comedians don't have a choice. So you're going, and then hopefully it pays off just enough where you're in a position where you get some sort of an offer, where you get enough money where you can catch your breath and you can use your talent exponentially. But that's not always the case. You get
Mm,
beat up on the road, and you got to take a couple days off and some self discipline, and it's
mm.
hard. But I mean, that's comedy, right?
And that's the thing, do you think sometimes when you're in that space where you're sleepless nights, okay, I mean, I've not done it for too long in that sort of cycle where, I think this is my 11th year in comedy, but what I mean by the continuous road kind of thing, we didn't really have too many opportunities here to be road comedians because we have just a few clubs, but there were those weeks or months where there would be, 25 gigs a month, and that would sort of send you in this space where reality is kind of disconnected from your performance. I mean, not performance, but from your schedule, right? Because you're just hotel rooms or in someone's house or you're sleeping on someone's sofa. And
Yes.
do you think that kind of mindset does it bring out the magic of what your comedy can do, or does it sort of just send you into the spiral where you're just on autopilot doing things? Because I did the Fringe, and that was 26 days of back-to-back shows, and then
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
went with the intention of writing new material like a minute every day. So by the end of the Fringe, I'll
Right.
probably have a new 30 minutes. Impossible, because every day was just
Right.
my God, how am I going to do this? And I was doing spots besides my 1 hour show. So I would wake up, do a slot at 12 o'clock, then at 1:30, then at 3:30, then do my show from 6 to 7. Then sometimes someone would be like, and the reason you're doing these spots is because, man, the hope that someone picks up on the fact that this guy's funny and then tells someone else, or if there's a guy who's booking shows, or there's a promoter, or there's someone from one of these big labels. And that fear of missing out is such a driving force. And I feel comedians do that. And now taking a step back, and I'm just like, the lockdown, everything came to a standstill. The online shows, there were these online open mics where there were 3 people, and it was just ridiculously stupid. I didn't do them. I did one. It was a waste of time.
Brutal.
Yeah, and even now, I think I've done
Soul
one live
crushing,
gig.
It
is soul crushing. It's just absolutely disaster, right? So, I mean, the couple.
Really is.
It's
It
pathetic.
really is.
But a couple of things I want to ask you based on that. Like, one is, do you think being, I think it's great being healthy and being clean, and I'm at that place now. Of course, I still drink, but not nowhere close
I
to
didn't say I was healthy, but yeah, I don't drink anymore. Yeah.
No, but is that important? Like, because you see, like right now, they're so clinical about everything, right? And of course, I see the benefit of having, I think exercise and mental health, that it helps both those things. But do you think there's a sort of very sterilized approach nowadays? Do you see that more and more in younger comedians who you meet or you come across, that there's this sort of like a formula that they follow?
Well, look, I had to move to Hollywood, live in a studio with no money, and I had to be broke. I had to drink too much. I had to sleep too little. I had to be hungry. I had to grind. I had to, go through that whole process and, be happy in pain, and walking down the Sunset Strip in Hollywood and just dreaming and dreaming, when I used to have a real 9-to-5 job, and I used to, have a car and this and that. And I gave up all that other part of society to do what I really wanted to do, because I thought it was easy to get a job I didn't like.
Yeah.
And to go through the mud and to get dirty and to come through it, you're damn right. It's all necessary. I don't think you can do you can't sneak by comedy. Now, everything's an individual choice. I personally just can't drink anymore. And I needed to be healthier, and I've learned all my lessons. So all my lessons are learned. On my tired days, I go for a run. There's marijuana here. There's tons of things, but right now I'm in a build castle phase. I took all the lessons that were laid out before me. I made it through like a bunch of little challenges in life and comedy, and now I'm blessed with this spot. But I wouldn't be where I'm at if I didn't get muddy and dirty on a regular basis all those years and learn, and then have that experience to share with other people like you. We have that in common. You don't just show up to the circus and get up on stage at the big tent. All the clowns and the dancers and the bearded old lady, they don't want to hang out with you after, because you don't have any stories, because you never rode the train across country exhausted and tired, and shared a stall with a horse. You know what I mean? You gotta if you don't have a soul to share. And by the way, if you're just telling comedy in your little hobo town, no matter what country you're in, well, maybe. But if you want to get and know the spices of the earth, and go to India, and go to Singapore, and then go to New York, and then go all over the world and have something in common with people, you gotta get in the mud and really know, have something to share with them. The voice about your family. We all have family in common, but the comedian has got to have grit. Those pretty 5-minute late night show comics, they don't survive 3 minutes in real rooms. They don't. And they don't share. Who wants to listen to them? Do you? I don't.
No, but some would argue on the flip side to that of course, I mean, I think that's, I got into comedy to do live gigs across the world, right? Of course, now there are so many elements to it, like management, promote, etc. Whatever, you need a fan base. But do you think that there is a flip side to that story, where some people would say, yeah, that's all bullshit, that's in the past, but now what you got to do is get good, so you have a 30-minute set or whatever, and then record it on whatever, in a room, put it up on YouTube or get Amazon, and then you get a reach across the world, and then you go and perform for those fans across the world, because a lot of people are doing that. And I'm not asking you whether it's right or wrong, but what is because there are, especially now in India, because it's an emerging market and a lot of these big platforms have come in, so they're not going for good comedy necessarily, but they're going for influencers who can either you make like comedy reality shows, or you make these sketch shows, or you make these
Right.
shows which have these elements which are more popular comedians on social media and YouTube, and you get these people and you drive audiences to the platform. So they're both very different approaches to comedy, and of course they clearly
Well,
both.
do you want to be good at your art? Do you want to be great at your art? Do you want to be Chappelle, or do you want to be, a Johnny who's got 30,000 people in his, YouTube thing, who thinks he's got all the answers, and in about 2 years, someone else is coming along to take his spot because he doesn't have
Mm.
legs to run on or stories to tell, and he's not honed. So
Yeah, but
I
someone would
get it
argue
that
saying the
that's where we
Chappelle.
are.
Yeah, someone would argue the Chappelle thing takes years and not everyone gets a break, but I have a much better chance, a higher hit rate at doing the YouTube stuff. I mean, I'm just playing devil's
Yeah, but
advocate here because
okay, I'm with you. I'm with you
yeah,
because I'll look out and I'll go, wow, this kid's got 4 sold out shows, and I've seen his videos, and he's terrible, and he's really super hacky. He's
yeah,
working the crowd and burning the room, but he doesn't even understand what burning the room is. And
yeah,
say, oh, what kind of shirt is that? I see comics all over the world think they're working a crowd or they're expressing something, and
yeah,
they don't realize it. But look, lady comedy, she's watching, and talent is talent. So if you don't have the goods, you might rake in a lot of dough. And I was in Hollywood watching dudes get a $500,000 deal all the time, and
yeah.
they were getting it before they were ready. There's no longevity in your little YouTube moment. There's no longevity in your little Instagram moment. There is no longevity. You will not survive 3 minutes following any real comedian in the world. They will not. And they might
Mm.
not have to today, but they're going to. It's cyclical. This is the
Now,
moment for
yeah,
that experience. And those fans are going to discover comedy by going to watch Johnny at the town hall who crushed it on YouTube. And they're
mm.
going to realize as they discover other comedians that Johnny sucked.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Now you've been doing it for how many years now? Because I think this is really important for people to hear. Sorry, how long you been doing it for?
Oh, wait, there's the Vegas boss. I don't know if you guys can see it go by. Can you see it? I don't know. All right.
The Vegas
I've been
bus.
doing it like 18 years. Yeah, they're going by and they're like, hey, welcome to Vegas. Yeah, 18 years,
Right. No, so I
18,
think it's
20
important.
years,
Yeah, it's good for people to
So,
hear that
yeah.
there is truth to this, right? Like if you do the grunt work, if you hit the live shows, and I think even in that, I want you to just talk about this. Sometimes there's this thing, right? People now are like, we got to get back to comedy, and there's this fear of letting go because. Before the lockdown, they had their jokes. They were like, man, I want to go do these jokes, which are great. But now it's been 2 years and maybe those jokes are good, but maybe you've changed or maybe people are scared
Yeah.
of letting go of what they were, right? Whether it was their last great gay god, was their last sort of the phase they were in when they were approaching comedy. But this is my opinion. You can give me yours and correct me if I'm wrong. Is I think I've realized, and it was terrifying for me to say, you know what? I recorded a 1 hour show at the end of at the beginning of 2020. I put it up on YouTube. That's the last sort of proper gig I've done. I've done a couple of corporate gigs online for some money, which of course I'm not proud of, but it helped. But I
Yeah,
haven't
yeah.
really written any.
That's part of comedy,
It's
brother.
part of comedy, yeah. But I haven't written
Yeah.
a new sort of 1 hour show. I haven't written new jokes per se. I'm just relying on the old stuff I had for these corporate gigs. But I'm not desperate to get back out there to these open mics where there's one or two people going, oh my God, it's comedy. If I don't do it anymore, if I don't get back on stage right now, I'm going to lose it. I'm okay waiting another 6 months. I'm okay putting some time back into my material, trying to understand what kind of person I am today, what kind of humor makes me laugh, and what kind of stuff I want to share with people. So what is your approach, and what is it? Is that a right approach? Is that a wrong approach? But more importantly, is it okay to say, you know what, and this is something I told myself, you've been doing comedy for 11 years, and now it's time to, in 2022 or 2021, look at it as your first year in comedy and start again. Is that okay to think like that? Or is there a...
I think so I don't mean to cut you off, but I
No, that's
totally
fine.
get what you're saying.
Yeah, I want you to cut me
So
off. I talk too much.
I think no, you know what's really funny too, I want to add. People see me spinning my camera around. I'm like just making sure I'm not getting mugged as well. So
Yeah, please. I don't need to get
seriously.
yeah.
I'm like, someone's gonna come by, grab the camera, and you're gonna be like, who am I talking to now?
No, I'm the
Yeah.
worst person to look out for you, right? Butch behind you.
Why didn't Sundeep say anything? Well, honestly, I thought he was bluffing too, but I guess he really couldn't see it. Yeah. So I think comedy is between the comic and God. So your individual voice tells you, look, I had to put the brakes on, and I had to stop. Guys were like, "You're moving to Vegas. You're not in L.A. You're doing this. You're doing that."
Mm,
And you know what? My exhaustion saved my ass because I
yeah,
got tired. I started taking time and literally taking time, getting up and going for walks and
yeah, yeah,
breathing, watching TV, playing video games, talking to old friends, and going to dinner. And then I'm like, wow, man, I feel loose again. I feel funny. The funny,
right.
you got to keep the funny nurtured. It's a
Yeah,
plant. You got to keep it growing, and it's not going to grow under see, we're also looking out and we're seeing success and we're thinking about money and we're thinking about paying our bills. So we're
yeah,
like, how's he doing? How's he doing? How's she doing it? But you know what? I'm an artist,
yeah,
so
yeah,
I'm a stand-up comic and an artist. So I have to go slow sometimes. I have to, listen to my voice and really experience what I'm feeling so I can give
yeah.
you something back. And that is only going to come from living and
Mm,
getting some rest, taking time, like you're saying. You're not just sitting to write notes. You got to walk around. You got to go to the park. You got to listen. You got to tune in, hear what people are feeling. Say hello to
yeah,
mom and dad. Listen to the things that bother us and make
yeah.
us laugh and happy, so you can share it. And then someone hears you say something that you only discovered in what you thought in your head was a break from comedy, but it was actually your greatest comedic period. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. I
So,
think the feelings, see, because we both, I mean, comedians all over the place, I think look at feelings and those feelings manifest as examples and then they come out as observations. But I think this is so true. If you don't feel and you're not giving time to process stuff that's going on around you, then you don't get a sense of, because I think what happens is then you kind of just are flipping through the news going, okay, what are the topics I can make fun of? As opposed to gauging the sense of what people are going through emotionally. And I think that is something that I learned when I used to just find, I used to go for the jokes, right? Of course, the jokes are important without making people laugh. There's no business calling yourself a comedian. But what I mean is trying to say, okay, what are the 10 things that are the most trending topics and let's make jokes of those, as opposed to, I used to do that and it got me some laughs, of course, and it was fun. But
yeah.
when I started talking about stuff that I've been through, stuff I want to go through, stuff that hurts me, stuff that I'm scared of, stuff that I wish I could be, like, the things that my insecurities or my fears. And it takes time. And a friend told me this many years back. He said, you got to dig deeper. You got to stop just scratching the surface in topics, right? When you talk about, say, possibly anxiety, or talk about like insecurity in relationship, you don't just
Right.
just do a bad dick joke, but do a good dick joke, which takes a lot more scratching of the surface and digging deeper. And that makes so much sense
And
now
a
in
real
hindsight.
story, a real story,
A
right?
real story, yeah, and that makes so much sense now looking back. But 2020, that special I talk about is, yeah, it's the first attempt at recording something to put it out there, because I've done some other shows, I didn't record them, but also we call them specials very loosely. But I really feel that that was the starting point for me after 11 years or 10 years of doing it, learning all these things that you're talking about, right? About going on the so-called road and thing, doing travel gigs, meeting people, hanging out with comedians after. Then you have this sort of phase where people bitch you out and people speak behind your back. All of that, I think, all of that, having the nights where you're so the mornings where you're so hungover you don't know if you're going to throw up on a plane, and doing all of that.
Miss that. Yeah, I don't
I
miss
think
it.
you
I
need to
don't.
go through it in different, points at for different lengths of time. But I think that's goes to making, and then you realize, oh my God, I need a break. I mean, you need a break to realize, okay, what do I need to take away? What do I need to keep on? And I think that's what you've done. And I think that's so cool that you left a place like Los Angeles to go to Vegas, which of course sounds really cool and fun and partying. But
Right.
from a career point of view, it doesn't look like the best thing, because LA is where the money is.
No, because
But
you come off the stage every night and you're like, oh, I work with Joe Rogan, but you're still broke. And you're
yeah,
still not unsure of what you're doing. You know what I mean?
yeah,
You're like, I got to get back into it. So it's really about that beautiful feeling when you step on stage and you let go of everything and you're
yeah,
learning to catch your breath, but you also want something to share. And running hard, like I run hard in a different way now. I
yeah,
run I run hard like, I can't wait to go do, the Zoom show with Sundeep. And after that, I'm knocking out another show. And then I'm knocking out this. And then I'm going home for real. And then I'm going home. I'm going to walk my dogs. You know what I mean?
How
You
do
know
you
what
do
I
that? I
mean?
mean,
Like,
you're doing an 8 o'clock, so that's 8 to 9, and you do a
there's no
10.
24-hour city. It's a 24-hour city. So my life
Yeah.
schedule is so different than other people's life schedule,
But how do you do are you doing the same material in all these shows? Are you doing
No,
different?
no, 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 no. I do like 60% new show every night as I write
Wow.
material. That was how I got the residency. So,
Oh, wow. That's a lot of stuff.
yeah, I was really lucky. I got 2020 best Las Vegas comic, and
Oh, that's
it
congratulations. I didn't
never.
know that.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Yeah, and
I'm the worst
yeah.
host. I don't do any research. I just talk to people.
No, it's cool. No, it's cool. I'm excited to share with you. Dude, I was very lucky during COVID. I did 2 movies. I did opening act with Steve Byrne and Ken Jeong, and
Uh-huh.
then I did the Reagan movie comes out about one of the American presidents, Ronald Reagan. It comes out in January with Dennis Quaid, who's a big American actor. If you guys
Oh,
don't know,
nice. Nice.
so yeah, so these things, but my show, the reason I kept the residency was because I really improvisationally write through the audience my topics of my life, and then I take those
That's
and
what I
tighten them
loved
up.
about your show is I could really resonate with it because I'm not a conventional, or is there a conventional, but I don't write down my set. I don't have this discipline, or I don't have the thing that drives me to sit and write notes before the set, or to sit after
Right.
and fine tune each word. I can't do that. And I love that about your performances. You go with an idea. Of course, with your experience, the idea is already like a bit because you've kind of done it in that way with that skill you have. But you just have fun with it, and every night the same bit sounds different.
Yeah, well, thank you. And I mean, I'm not. My formula worked for me. The first this the strat was really cool in LA Comedy Club. They allowed me to figure out my formula. What's
Mm.
really cool about Vegas is, literally hundreds of thousands of people land every day. So the
Yeah.
show is 90% new audience every day.
Right. Right.
So,
Right. Right.
and literally, a mile up the strip, uh, Brad Garrett's Comedy Club is right across the street from the Laugh Factory.
So for
They're
those guys who
seeing
don't know,
completely
Brad Garrett,
different
he's the guy
audiences.
from Everybody Loves Raymond, right? For those of you
Yes,
who don't
yes.
know,
And
because
he
I
performs
Robert,
there. Yeah.
Robert, I
Yeah.
love
Yeah.
Robert.
Yeah. And tons of celebs pop into his gig
Mm.
and do his show, and but across the street, different audience. And Tropicana has a different audience than the MGM, and then it's really bizarre. But Vegas is so huge, and it's just so many people that the audiences change every single night. So it's cool.
That's amazing. So do you
So
have
I
packed
get to
audiences
I
through the week?
yeah. So I was really lucky because we were, for 1 minute, we were pretty much the only comedy club open in the world,
Ah,
and then we were the only one in the U.S. So we were sold out, and it really rocked for us because it gave this casino and the club so much exposure that it
yeah,
wouldn't normally have had. And my show got a lot of good heat, and
yeah,
it made me a beast, dude. It just made me a beast. I was performing for 10 people, only allowed in the room,
yeah.
and then all masked up. And then it went to 20, then it went to 30. And our room is only like a 164 room. All
Uh-huh.
the other rooms are like 280, 320. So
Yeah,
no, we were the only room allowed to have people in the
that's
room.
crazy.
So all of a sudden we were jamming, and now the room's rotated in January. It goes into a $2.5 million brand new room, and
Wow.
yeah, so it really was crazy. I had a director of my audience during that time who produced. Was the director of Soul Surfer. He saw me. He put
Uh-huh.
me in that reggae movie. I got to improv
Ah,
three scenes with Dennis Quaid, and then so
nice.
all these things came out of this location, and that sort of it caused me to feel confidence in sort of a stream of consciousness riff
Yeah,
that I would walk through the audience with. Sort of like a guy would host like a late night show, but of course
yeah,
material and punchline based.
yeah,
So material, I have like a couple pieces that survive like 6 months,
yeah,
but like I bookend my shows. For the comedians out there listening, what I do is I'll bookend. I'll open up with a real riff. I'll slide into like something strong to sort of
yeah.
show them where I'm headed. I'll slide into riff of new material, see what's working. I'll bounce up to something that I feel like is strong. I'll drop down to the riff. write that out about what I'm feeling, and then I'll close out on the other end of the bookend. The you know
Ah.
the I'll close out with something strong at the end, but
So
I'll
you kind
push
of
through
package
it.
these bits within, so
Yeah.
you kind. Oh, that's
Yep.
nice.
Yeah, exactly. So, and then, I'm blessed with so many guys rolling through. So they're always, guys will like you or friends are like, dude, try this, or I have a premise I can't do. You want to try that? Because they know
Mm.
I'm always needing a little more than everybody else, you
Yeah,
know. And
yeah,
there's moments where I'm dead empty, dude, and I'm in that green room, and
yeah.
I'm
What do you
like,
do
what
then?
have
What do
I
you do
done
then?
to my soul?
Yeah. What do you do when you're like
Well,
running on fumes? You're dead empty.
so you ready? So there was like 24 people in the room. I went in the back of the green room. I was talking to myself. I'm like, I'm losing my mind. What am I going to say to these people? I can't breathe. I can't think. And then I lectured myself, and I'm like, go have fun. Like, don't be
Right.
an idiot. You're right. So I actually listened to myself. I went out. I murdered. I had a great set. And that was the night that Sean McNamara, the American director, was sitting with three of his buddies in the front row. I don't know who he is, and he is like 6'6" Irish guy, and goes,
Right.
I heard him through the curtains go, that guy's unbelievable. And I go out, and my buddy, an actor, Eric Audet, goes, hey, Butch, come here. I'm like, Eric. He goes, dude, you murdered. I want you to meet Sean McNamara. He's a director. And he looked at me right after I was done, an
Yeah.
hour later before I almost lost it. And he looked at me and said, what do you want? I said, I need a special. So I have a special out on Amazon right now called Live from Las Vegas with Butch Bradley. And then he put me in the Reagan movie. So the
Wait,
moments when
he
you're
got you the
feeling,
special for Amazon.
he did. He put me.
Oh,
He filmed me 4 hours working crowds in Vegas, and then he cut it into 1 hour.
oh man, I'm so happy that happened. That's amazing. That's like such a great story. I think for any
Yeah,
comedian
dude.
listening, that is something
Right,
we all cling on to, right? It's that hope of,
dude. And I mean, a
um,
dirty little comedy club with 25 people, and I thought
yeah.
I was gonna. I was like, dude, get me a couple of drinks. But I didn't. I was
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
this is a Jack Daniels moment brewing right here. But I gave
Yeah,
myself the lecture. I calmed down, and
that's
I started to
amazing.
laugh, just to laugh at the insanity of what it is we do. And I
Yeah.
started to laugh that 24 people are sitting out there and all the shit they could do in Vegas, and they ended up in this little comedy club with a dude they've never heard of. And I'm like, you
Oh
know,
man, that sounds like a wet dream, dude. Because it's literally, every comedian who's just like so disillusioned by the whole machine of marketing and management and
yeah,
getting fucked
yeah,
over because someone else has the right formula of looks and connections versus just jokes. I think this is something
yeah.
that is sort of they can. It's a lifeline that they can hold on to these stories, and it's
Yeah, and I
amazing.
really do believe in what you said earlier. And we both sort of shared on that line of thought is if a YouTube special where I created my own thing and I didn't learn anything.
Yeah,
I did all that basic stuff without the fan base, and I
yeah,
look back on videos of me from 15 years ago, and I'm embarrassed.
yeah.
But growing my art shined in front of a director who's got 30 American movies and 400 TV shows. So
Mm,
it would not have happened to
yeah,
me if I had just filled the room and I was a goofy,
yeah,
goofy dick teller. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like
yeah, yeah.
if I was burning the room and I was just like an idiot young dude who's got a fan base, the director
If you
would
don't
be
have
like,
substance, I think, yeah, I think these people, not all directors, but I'm saying there are some people who can just sense the chemistry. They can see there's more depth in you than just, a formula-based, template-based comedy writer, right?
right.
That you're a human with
Well,
stories, you have experiences that all these go into making you tell these things on stage. I think some people can sense that.
what do you the comedian? We all have to ask ourselves, what do you want? I want TV, movies. I want my fellow comedians like yourself to go, he's a good dude. He's really talented. He works hard. I don't
Yeah,
want them to go. I don't want them to go, dude, he's driving a Porsche. Oh my God.
yeah,
I really don't work with him. He's not really my kind of comedy, but dude, he's got houses.
yeah.
He's rich. And then he worked for 3 years and I never heard of him again, but he's rich. I don't want that shit. I want to
Mm.
earn it, get it. Do I want to drive a Porsche? Oh, yeah, I do. Ferrari as well. but
Yeah. Yeah.
I kind of want to earn it through, this road. I want to be respected, and I want my art to get me work and put me in position,
Yeah.
and I want to do really well at it. So when I get home, I'm like, oh my god, I just improv a scene with Dennis Quaid, and I didn't throw up, and it's all thanks to years of stand-up comedy and
Yeah.
just grinding, because I could not have done that. What I had to do for 3 hours in front of some major American movie stars could
Yeah.
not have done with any less than the amount of time I've had in training live stand up. No way. There's no way.
Yeah. No, I
Yeah,
think
there's
I'm
no
just
way.
trying to internalize
Hello,
that.
how are you? Oh, it just holds my phone. Yeah. Yeah. This is my buddy's a comedian in India. I'm doing an interview.
Hello.
These folks are
How
visiting
are you?
Vegas.
I wish I
Yeah.
was there right now. It's really it's early in the morning and I haven't even had coffee.
Oh man, yeah. Nick Coffey's a good friend to all of us, right?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean,
I don't
that's the
even know what
strange
time
thing
it is.
that
Oh,
you know,
7:40.
I don't know if I'm calling myself healthy, but it's so nice to not have that pressure of people are like, you're a stand-up comedian. I'm like, yeah, I love the art form of stand-up comedy, standing on stage, talking to people, making them laugh. I love that. But right now, it's also given me a chance to do this, right? Where I talk to you, and you can be funny wherever. And I think podcasting
Yeah.
is great. But I think you're getting. Let me know when you want to wind up, when you have your show starting. We can wind up
I'm
before.
good. I'm good. I got like 15 minutes. I'm fine. Yeah.
Oh, that was
It's
awesome.
fun. Yeah.
I think this.
You got to have both, Sandeep. We're all
Yeah,
in these different moments. It's like,
yeah,
famous female comedian Joan Rivers.
yeah,
She was up for the Tonight Show.
yeah.
She would tell stories about how it just blew me away that it's what I thought was the peak of her career, and
Mm,
she was sneaking out of hotel rooms because she was so broke. Then Jay
mm,
Leno and her. She's fighting for this Tonight Show spot. She's grinding. I mean, where we are in those quiet moments, it's like in a blink of an eye, all of a sudden you're in front of 1,000 people telling jokes and you're feeling good. And, it's this whole amazing ride. How would you want to
yeah,
take it? All the good, bad, and the ugly. I really, honestly, being a stand up comic is fucking cool. I wouldn't want to do it any other way. And
yeah,
even in the ugliest of moments, even in the
yeah,
times where I was on a buddy's couch for like 2 months,
yeah.
broke, and in a really strong point in my career, and I'm like, he's like, "Are you homeless?" I go, I was thinking about that this morning. I think I'm about as close as I could be. You know,
Yeah,
he's like, well, I'm not kicking out, but I just want to point it out. You might want to, rethink your career. I was like, what? Like, and we laughed,
yeah,
and
yeah,
next thing you know, I line up gigs, and then I'm back, and I'm doing this, but. I wouldn't want to do it any other way, and
yeah.
I think it's honest. I think it's honest. If you're a real stand-up comic,
Absolutely.
it's
Yeah.
honest.
Looking back to 2019, I had a couple of those moments where it was almost teetering out of control, right? Like where I would say I spiraled out with a combination of alcohol, insecurity. And of course, when you're in
Yeah,
that state, you have other comedians who aren't the best influence, right? They kind of feed into that
yeah,
feeling you're going through. Like, yeah, I think, yeah, you're definitely, you need to work on your material. Yeah, you're not doing the right thing. Yeah, the other comedian you're talking about is better. And then it sort of escalates to this point where you almost have a meltdown on stage. And I have had a couple of those. And I'm looking back, I'm like, oh, how could I do? But I needed that because without that, I wouldn't have been in a position to go, wait a second, what the fuck are you doing in your life? Because stand up isn't life. It's one of those things which you really love doing in life. But if you kind of get confused going, I'm a stand up, I mean, of course, it's important to give it the time it's due. But when you aren't in a good place in life, when I say good place, I'm saying in your head, then it's very difficult to be, completely in the art form of stand up and giving it everything because you're in it for the wrong reasons. Then you're just in it to get smashed with other guys as opposed to enjoying the time on stage. So I'm glad I went to that point and came back because I'm so glad I can share it with you today that I can now almost approach stand up as a beginner with 11 years of experience.
right. And every set we have is day one.
Yeah,
And just like you, look, I romanticize, and sometimes
yeah,
at the club, God, so many guys will show up here, and all of a sudden it's in my head. I would
yeah,
spend all night with these guys
yeah,
telling stories. So, I'll hang out for a bit, but, the beauty, the spark, we all see each other, we all start laughing. I was
yeah,
with Tony Rock the other night. He
yeah,
was here, we hung out, and my buddy Jay Reed, just all these comics in Vegas. And from all backgrounds, and I want to spend all night drinking and telling stories. But the
Yeah.
truth is, I also, I romanticize. I had those days. I would never trade those days in. Or
Yeah.
me and Jonathan in Kuala Lumpur drinking until till 2 days later, and
Yeah.
I would never give any of that. Or me and Hung Lee from Australia
Oh
doing the
my
same thing.
God.
Yeah,
Talking about the
dude,
two
I
chats.
remember waking up in KL, and I'm like, I think Hung Lee was here. And I knock on the door, and I open the door, and Hung is like, "Are you ready to get back in it?" And I'm like, "What the?" But I wouldn't
Can I tell you
trade
two
any of
stories
that. But
quickly? Like
yeah,
Hungly and I met at this pajama fest which Veer Das organized many years back, and I don't know, I couldn't find anyone else to be a drinking buddy, and I'm so glad I found Hungly because we had some afternoon gigs,
yeah,
and he's like, and he's got a bit of he's a Vietnamese Aussie, right? And he's got this accent. He's
yeah.
like, ready for a beer,
Dude,
mate?
super
And I'm like,
famous in Australia. He's so
yeah.
famous, it's unbelievable.
He's really
Yeah.
funny. He's really famous, and he would have this line where we clink our beers, and he go, "Cheers, mate, up your bum." And I was like, and I loved hanging out with him so much. That was one of the highlights of the festival. And the Jonathan story, Mr. Jonathan Atherton and I did a thing in 2019. It was a fundraiser in Madras, the city of Chennai. And they flew Jonathan down, and they knew he loves drinking, right? So they warned him, please don't start drinking on the flight. You have a gig this night. He's landed up, got smashed out of his fucking face. And and then he comes and meets me. He just goes off on me, and we're going back and forth. And by the way, right, he kills that night. You know, Jonathan, he
Of
can just
course, of
brilliant.
course,
He kills hard,
of
and these
course.
people who are so
He
worried
speaks like
about
11 languages, and he's
yeah.
hammered. Yeah.
And when exactly, so he's hammered out of his mind. They're worried whether he's going to fall off stage, but he kills. And then there are other comedians who are very sort of like well dressed, and they're just like, yeah, we don't drink before performing,
Right.
who've eaten shit on stage. And then Jonathan and
Yeah.
I continue to drink. It's 4 a.m. and we're both holding each other, stumbling back to the room. And the next morning, Jonathan sends a photo. His entire foot is infected, and I'm like, what the fuck? But
Yeah,
man,
dude, I won't trade any of
I
those
can't do it
gifts that
again.
we have.
Yeah, I can't go
Yeah.
through a hangover after that. I can't deal with it these days. I can drink, but I can't do that level of drinking. But
Yeah.
as you said, I can't. I would never trade that experience for anything. It was so much fun, you know.
Right. Yeah, no, the best times ever. Like you know,
Yeah,
COVID is really what the beginning of COVID when we had our lockdown here,
yeah,
and even and my American brain was so it's gone through periods where it thinks it's invincible, and I forget. And traveling puts me back on Earth, but
yeah, yeah,
I didn't think we were going to be locked down. I didn't think for 1 minute I would ever be without $1. I didn't
yeah,
think anything. And
yeah,
then
yeah,
all of a sudden, my positive attitude is going to shit. And I was so literally, I went from like, I was depressed and I did so much thinking. And I realized, holy shit, I might not go to stage again. Oh my God,
right, right.
blah, blah, blah. And
Shit, that must have been
I,
scary
I
because that's your only thing. I mean, you had movies, but you're a resident, and that's a big gig for you,
No,
right?
you don't. Yeah, you don't get paid for that stuff until later, and
Mm,
it was more the reality that what would I do in life, and who
yeah,
am I without comedy? And I got depressed, and my girl had a real positive attitude,
yeah,
and I just was like really depressed, but I came through it on the
mhm,
other end by saying how lucky I am, and I
yeah,
didn't complain. I cut my complaining down. I'm
yeah,
still a New Jersey boy, which is the whiniest part of we're loudmouths in America. So and I'm still that, but I it humbled me up a lot. It was like a great experience, and it just it was a great negative experience that sort of brought me around. And I just thought I better respect all this time because I can't hold this residency the way I used to behave and rage and party and I
yeah,
probably was abusive to a lot of great moments in my career
hmm,
by accident because I was just so caught up in the fun and the excitement. But
yeah,
I have all the stories and I have
yeah,
a million more stories. I'm
yeah,
still a crazy dude. If you
yeah,
were here right now, we still wouldn't go to bed till 6 a.m. Might
yeah,
not
yeah,
be
yeah,
hammered, but
yeah.
I'd be driving around. I would just show you the whole city. So it's a
No,
little
that's
different now.
I think
It's a little
making those
different.
mistakes, I think, sometimes, of course, at the expense of others, it probably isn't advisable because it's just as a human, you should probably, I think hurting others unknowingly or knowingly isn't good. But okay, I want to talk about this before you have to go for your show. Right now people are just walking on eggshells, right? Like with all these terms like cancel culture, with the pronouns, with political
Yeah,
correctness, with
crazy,
everyone being
crazy.
terrified of like going back in
Yeah.
the past and taking your things you've done and things you've said and things and just holding you ransom to it. And uh, of course, there have been people who have done stuff which needs to be called out, but I don't want to get into that because it's a slippery slope. But how do
Yeah.
you talk about all these things, and we've shared these past experiences of getting into borderline situations where we were kind of shit. What do we do? And that we look back and laugh now, but it also made you a better comedian, better performer. But now with this whole tentative approach to comedy and watching every word or watching what you say, or worrying whether people are going to record you out of context, how does that feature? And I mean, are you noticing a shift in newer comedians coming up in this climate, and how, because let's call
Well,
it woke comedians, do you think that even
yeah.
can exist, like,
There's no
and that
such thing. There's no
yeah,
such thing.
yeah, I was
Yeah.
going to ask you that.
There's no such thing. This is all. This is all. And you know what? Look, I'm a good person. If I don't like you, it's most likely because you cut me off in traffic. Like
Yeah,
my audiences are so beautiful, dude. The COVID thing was really weird because Vegas, I never saw anything crazy. Everyone gets along in Vegas.
yeah,
Then there was a period where it was scary and America was scary.
yeah,
Now it's settled down. And my audience is everybody. It's black, it's white, it's Indian, it's Malay, it's
yeah,
Chinese, it's Japanese. It is a true American city audience. It's
yeah,
Manhattan,
yeah,
it's Los Angeles. So that beauty, and also I happen to work in the edgiest city in the country, so
yeah,
I get away with a lot more
yeah,
than
yeah, yeah,
everyone
yeah,
else. But a great filter. But I think when you're honest and you're like, for me, what's worked for me is I grew up in New Jersey. I grew around a lot of people in New York. So I tell the truth and I tell it slowly. And as long as it's not coming from a bad place, I'm safe. But
yeah,
more importantly, I feel comfortable saying it because I know the location that I'm beginning this conversation from.
yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
I'm not. You are not going to fucking snag me with your bullshit, crap,
Yeah.
because that's not who I am.
You're not
And
coming from a place of
I
malice.
have
You're
a
not coming
long
from,
history.
yeah,
No,
yeah,
and
yeah,
I have a history. The green room is filled with tall, heavy, big, black, Chinese, gay, straight. It's everyone.
yeah, yeah,
Come into the green room and see my friends and tell me who I am or who I'm not or what I meant. The difference is comedians, especially like Chappelle, have the courage to go out there and tell you his honesty. And
yeah,
this woke culture has become the bully. The bully bullied them, and they're confusing us for being the bullies. We aren't the
yeah,
bullies.
we
I got
aren't,
picked
yeah.
on too, dude. I got picked on
Oh,
too.
yeah?
Yeah, I cried. I got chased. We all did.
Oh,
Who
yeah, you
didn't
that.
have a
I thought
bad
something
moment in
happened.
their life?
Yeah,
No, but I'm just saying, like, who wasn't a little kid who had a moment of somewhere?
of course.
You don't get to be older and have some weird blog site with 50,000 followers, and you're 20 something. So you just take someone's life away because they don't get to explain themselves now. You're
Yeah,
those.
which is bullshit.
That's
Yeah, total bullshit.
disgusting.
And
That's
I've noticed, like
disgusting.
for instance, someone like me, they were, I could run to one aspect of myself. Like if someone says, "Oh, he said something on stage," and actually, it actually happened. There's this crowd interaction. I did a gig once, and the girl was, giving as she like I was picking on her. She was giving it back, and it all was fine. People were laughing. The next morning, I think she was encouraged by some other people, comedians, to sort of call me out, and she said, "I want a public apology in the media because you are out of line." And I got a little worried. I'm like, shit. And this is when I was a little drunk. I was
Yeah,
like, did I say something? And the
yeah,
way
yeah,
the way comedians, a couple of guys are like, "Oh man, dude, you were out of line, and if anything happens, you're on your own." And I was like, "You motherfuckers!" I don't want to give
yeah,
names, but bunch of cunts, right? And I just
yeah,
like, shit, this
yeah,
is the kind of people I'm working with. So I'm so glad I'm not with them. But having
yeah,
said that, this is the point, right? When you are doing something and someone who's just wants to use one aspect, so they're probably, I can easily say, "Oh, I'm a blind comedian. How can you go after me?" But then I can go after the
right.
brown aspect. I mean, but no. At which point do I stop running away and say, "You know what? I said it genuinely to get laughter and make people in the
Yeah,
room laugh. If you want to take
yeah,
that,
yeah,
twist it, and of course sometimes." it does sound rude, but it's also the tone, because the tone is set in that way, the interaction's going in that way, and it does sound obnoxious. It might sound even
Yeah,
edgy,
yeah,
it
yeah,
might sound
yeah.
even borderline wrong, but it worked in that moment. Now, if you take that and make a recording out of it and put it to the media, they're going to fucking go after you because you look like a
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
monster, you
yeah,
know?
yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, I think after watching like Chappelle's special, it was genius. I thought he like translated well, and
Oh,
I
you're
think
talking
like
about the new
that's
one,
it.
Closer? Because
The
he
new
got into
one,
trouble for
Closer.
that,
Yeah,
right? Right.
yeah. Well, yeah, yeah. I
Yeah.
mean,
He doesn't give a
total
shit.
genius. No, it's
Yeah.
the highest level. It's the highest
Yeah.
level of comedy. And all those people you're talking about, that's like open mic bullshit. Those little
Yeah.
hacks that want to like say something about you. Look, if you enter a comedy club, sit down and enjoy the show. If you don't like it, the door's right behind you. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Don't even dare. Like, it's stupid. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, and I think, see,
you
India right
know,
now is in a place. Sorry for interrupting, just because I know you're out of time, but I want to just give you
no, you're
context. Where
good, brother. We're good, man. I feel. Thank you for
India,
having me. By the way, this is an honor and a
hey,
pleasure. I miss you, man. I miss
yeah, man,
India.
you should
Yeah,
come here, man, because it's
I
very
need to. I'm gonna
interesting.
find that girl who gave you grief. Yeah, I'm gonna find
No,
all
dude,
those little.
trust me, I might be blind, but she's not worth it.
Yeah.
You'll be have better standards.
Now we're both. Now you just got rid of both of us. Right. Both of us don't have a career. That's great. Perfect.
No, but the best part is that not best part, but we have such different comedy scenes, so to speak. Like the Indian comedy, the club scene, we had a couple of clubs, so called. There was one really big one in Bombay, then there were a few which sort of cropped up from there. Then there were these traveling gigs. But our entire comedy scene now, for the most part, I'd say 90%, is online. It's people just literally writing material so they can, get it good enough and
It's
then
not
book them.
comedy. It's not comedy. It's not
And I
comedy.
don't know, but I don't want to say it's not or not. I don't know who I'm not anyone to judge, but it just doesn't
I'm
seem
a
right.
judge. I'm
Yeah,
judging. I'm judging. It's not an art. It's a bunch of people on like writing with. Look, if you don't have the emotional connect and the kinetic energy between humans
yeah,
in a live audience is
yeah,
why stand up is popular. Zoom has nothing to do with stand up comedy. You're practicing. You might as well be at a local college taking an acting one class. It
yeah,
has nothing to do with it. It's not going to translate. The world's going to open up. And if you
yeah,
don't have your guns, if you're not performing live and learning how to do it, then what are you going to do? You're going to stay on Zoom? Cool. You're big in the Zoom world. They paid you money, whatever it is you're doing. It has nothing to do with the art of stand up comedy,
mm,
nothing at all, or acting, or movies, or TV. It's
yeah,
all, you're a good writer.
yeah.
Okay, good.
Good.
That's where
Yeah,
you're going to end up. That's great. You're a good writer. You're writing for Zoom. I did a bunch of Zoom, and you know what? Right
yeah,
away, I went, even the one time I did really well, because I sold out like you for big corporate money, and I was starving
yeah,
during the COVID. My girl's like, you got to do it. So
yeah,
I did. I do this show. I'm eating it, and the only reason I started to do well is because I stopped and I went, look, this isn't comedy. This is shit. And I started just shitting on it. And I'm like, this is a fake forum. I go, I don't even know the comedians that are here. I've never seen them do comedy ever in their lives. I go, they all think they're
oh,
instead. Dude, I was destroyed, but I still was covered in sweat. Now,
right,
three very wealthy older white women, very wealthy, hired me to do their corporate. So at the end of it, these three wealthy white women, like in their 70s, with wine glasses, leaned into the camera and they looked at each other and they go, we forgot how hard stand up was. Watching you sweat was so enjoyable. That was my last Zoom show.
oh
Yeah.
my God, I
Yeah.
have
And
fun
my
this
girl was
evening.
behind the camera, dude. She's like,
Oh.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I was like, this is awful. I'm like a hooker for money, right?
Oh,
Holy
I have the
God.
same experience coming up. They in fact made me do a dry run last evening, and I don't want to bitch them out. They've been really sweet about it. But it's for their company. It's about 8 o'clock. It's been about 9 hours, 8 hours time. I
I'm
have this
okay,
gig.
bro. I'm okay.
Yeah. No, so the show starts in about 7, 8 hours for me. It's online, sitting in my room, and it's for about 400 people and their families. So kids are allowed into this
Wow.
online thing.
Oh, yeah, kids
Oh,
messed it up a little. Yeah.
so yeah, you can pray for me, my friend.
Yeah. Yeah, I will. Well, you know what? You just walk through, go slow, and
Yeah.
and pray. I'll pray for you. I was trying to think about something positive I could say, and then I pictured me there, and I went, no, it's gonna be a tough gig. Yeah, I should tell him
Yeah.
the truth. Yeah,
Yeah. You can hope for a
yeah.
blackout with the internet, but
Dude, all you gotta do is step in that Indian traffic, and you'll be good. You'll be taken out in 2 seconds. All you gotta do, just yeah, just and you know
yeah.
what? You can wave a white cane. They're still hitting you, dude. They're still hitting you. They're still hitting you. They don't care. They
They
don't.
don't
Beep beep
care,
beep
man.
beep 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 beep.
They don't
Boom! We
care.
just lost Sundeep. We just lost Sundeep.
And
Yeah,
hopefully my
man.
special gets some views on YouTube.
100%. Dude, you flying through the air would probably get you 2 million hits. Yeah. that girl would call and apologize and ask to open for you in your shows.
Oh no,
Yeah.
no chance, man. I don't want
Yeah.
apologies from people like that.
Yeah, right. Yeah, look, I, to bring it around for me,
Mm.
for comedy, for where I think we were talking, comedy will handle itself. It'll filter out this period of time.
Yeah.
It'll go back. If you're not hardworking, if you're not a real true stand-up, and if you don't have the talent, thank you for trying. But
Yeah.
the beauty about stand-up comedy is it will get rid of you. Lady comedy is a jealous killer, and she will get rid of those that aren't funny and who aren't. That all hater nonsense and that
Yeah.
like taking people out, that has nothing to do with comedy. That's just
Yeah.
like hater bullshit, you know?
I think it's
It'll be handled.
I think it's people who are insecure who don't want to look within but want to blame others for it.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. Look, it's 8 o'clock. I love you. Tell India, hello, India. Thank you so much for having me. I'd love to see you in Vegas. Anybody that sees this ends up in Vegas, tell them to come catch my show or add me on Instagram at Butch Bradley Comedy and tell me they watched your show and send me a clip so I can put it on my social media. And thanks for having me, brother.
Good luck, my friend. Enjoy the show. Have a great one. Kill it as always. And thank you so much for joining me and sharing all your
Oh,
stories.
dude, anytime. I miss you, brother. You
You
make
too,
me
man.
want to come to India and start drinking right now. I love you. All
Done.
right.
Have a good gig, brother.
Thanks for
Talk
having
to you
me.
soon.
Bye.
Bye.